I was involved in helping writing the end section to Fall Awake and the idea of melody to be sung over it. I didn't write it because it was something that was inspired by what they were playing at the time, but I just had this feeling that the chords of the song needed to carry on and go somewhere big, which it did.
Tomorrow I wake from the same old dream, kicking and screaming.
In summer of 2011, I met 3 women via my former housemate Mike Harper. 2 of them were Marianne and Laura, and one of them was my wife Mo.
Yes, from now I wake with the same old ache.
I don't ever recall meeting Marianne. I think she was always there. I used to walk through town, and if she'd be busking, I'd hear her sing, follow her voice through town, and eventually catch up with her and say hey to her.
Well, I'm Mia and the Moon's mum. I'm Mummy Moon. I'm just immensely proud, incredibly proud of my girls and what they've done. They've lived with music all their lives and they've just made so much of it. The only involvement really I have with Fall Awake as an album, I suppose, is the connection with the title song. I was experiencing some very strange things in life at that particular time. Essentially I was getting interdimensional influences directly into my mind, and I was having conversations with people who I couldn't see. And on this particular day I'd gone down to the stable yard to sort my horse out, and I'd had one of these conversations with one of these people I couldn't see. He was very close to me, I'm very familiar with him, and when I'd had this conversation, which I can't actually remember the details of now, I came home and found that Marianne had written a new song. And she played me Fall Awake. That was a real moment that stuck in my heart, because the connection, not only in terms of the song, the lyrics, the reference point, but the timing was ridiculous. It wasn't the first, and it hasn't been the last time that timing has come into play in my life with this particular entity. What's the best description? That's what I remember of Fall Awake. That was my involvement. Whoa moment.
Yes, Fall Awake is an ace song, absolutely knocked it out of the park again with the production. Everything is just fantastic about the song. It also turned up at the end credits of one of the films that I made with the film company GM Finney Productions.
I am certainly much more familiar with Fall Awake than I am with Isla. Fallen Awake was the one I was actually involved with via designing artwork for the jewel case. Snow was the first music video I ever shot. Fall Awake was the second.
My favourite song of all time is Audience of One, but I love Midnight in London and everything that you do, really.
I know it's an old word, everyone using that, eclectic, but it is very eclectic. You've got blues, got a bit of soul, bit of jazz, bit of gospel, possibly a bit of John Martin. I don't know about that.
Never had such a good reason to hear your voice.
The power of it. Like, there's a chorus at the end where they come into a third saying Midnight in London, and you just feel a swoop when you're playing that. You feel a swoop just listening to it from Neil's recording from the first album, or any of the live recordings that he ever did, or the time he did it with Griff on cello. Yeah, that song is the best song I'm ever likely to be a part of in any tangential fashion. I absolutely adore it. It's timeless.
It goes from nothing to huge, and it's a beautiful song. Great melody, incredible musical writing, geniuses, the girls. When I first heard that there was somebody wanted to actually perform it live with the Leicester Symphony Orchestra, Gimbey Orchestra, I was astounded and really pleased with the girls. And then they made a special arrangement which kept pretty much to the original. I was very impressed with the arrangement.
When you're performing with an orchestra, there's not always a definitive beat. Sorry, am I boring you? There's not always a definitive beat where, because firstly, it's a little bit at the discretion of the conductor as to how they're feeling the music, and they're the one that sort of guides everyone through with the tempo of the piece and the undulations in the tempo of the piece and the dynamics and so on and so forth. You know, helping the girls with identifying how the conductor was moving, how they were feeling it, and learning to sort of interpret those movements in the piece and those movements in the tempo the same way that the orchestra would. And then that all can start to blend together, and that's when you get that really tight sound.
I want to stay right here in this moment, never face the commotion.
It paints a picture in a way that a lot of modern pop songs don't.
It feels instantly familiar and comfortable, but it's completely their own thing. Both Marianne and Laura are fantastic singer-songwriters in their own way, but when they get together with Mia and Moon, you can tell there's something special about it.
Join in, because I can't do it. I'm just going to sing it, go around again. 1, 2, 3, if you can whistle it to this.
Well, when you played in that pub when we came to see you, you were great. You know, it wasn't like polished, but the songs were so good and you were so entertaining and so great with the crowd.
So yeah, that was the other one that I hijacked to be upon in the first album. Again, such a catchy tune, but the recording didn't really have much in the way of the beat.
My heart with stones and sticks, 'cause words are safer on the tip of your tongue.
So while I was doing the Maury Clara thing, I think I was in the studio for a day on that one, where I met Neil, an absolute legend of a producer. They were all telling me what a hard ass he was going to be. It's like, you know, just don't take anything he says to heart. He just knows what he wants and he knows how he wants to get it. He might insult you, he might do all sorts of things. Just don't take it to heart. And he was lovely. He was absolutely lovely.
Don't go ballistic, but I must be masochistic, 'cause a part of me has missed this broken-hearted, twisted version of me. And don't be shy, I'm on occasion set to bite, but I won't bother you tonight. You wouldn't sugar tea that's already sweet.
Marianne probably is a bit more keen on the technical side, and Laura's much more conducive to the artistic side and the performance and the music. Both invaluable for me as an engineer and a co-producer, should I say, with them.
I'm not sure he likes that kid very much. You need a friend. Need somebody to
How the world awakes.
Moira Clara is one of the two on the first album that I was a part of. I've not been with them long, and they just wanted a bit of snare drum on it. It's such a great song. I think the first gig I ever did with the girls was the Moira Clara gig, if I recall correctly. We were playing at a wedding up in the Peak District. It was absolutely pissing down, windswept and barrens. You half expected to see a werewolf loose on the moors. And they'd written this song for this particular couple's wedding, and it's just again an absolute classic.
The songs that Laura wrote were kind of slightly more ballad-esque, but I couldn't really tell, because they have such a brilliant and, in brackets, fiery working relationship. They ended up co-writing, or one would start a song and then the other one would come in with an idea that the initial writer would not think is very good, but when I hear it I think actually she's got a point. They were a bit like McCartney, Lennon and McCartney, where they fought a lot over just music. They never fought over anything else, as far as I can see.
And all the stories that you hear of a man who can't be heard. He saw her face in every page he ever turned.
I particularly loved that song in some kind of ethereal way. It was almost like Moonlight Shadow is an ethereal kind of song. And I didn't know until quite a long time after I'd had the CD in the car and I'd been playing it and got used to where the songs were and everything, and that's a lovely one. I realised that someone actually had asked the girls to write it for their wedding.
The wedding march in the middle of it went down absolutely beautifully with the bride, and I mean, if it was me, I don't know about you, but if I had a song like that written especially for my wedding, I think I'd treasure that for the rest of my life. Beautiful gift to give somebody.
Learning that it had been asked to be written as a wedding song was a big shock, because it wasn't really the kind of song that I would have associated with a wedding at all. But that just makes it even more poignant. Laura's vocals are beautiful on that song, and on all the songs that she's done. Her vocals are beautifully evocative. She's just got a way of presenting her voice that comes from the heart and is soulful and clear.
I love working with Sam. I thought Sam was brilliant. He always came up with the right thing at the right time. And he's a chilled out guy and really easy to work with.
It's all I'll ever need. Be mine.
Moira Clara is one of my favourite songs. Absolutely. I think that's one of my favourite songs. As a standalone song, I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Lyrics, I thought it was a beautiful song.
Laura works at it an awful lot. Laura is classically trained to do anything you want her to do, really, or anything she wants to get from the song herself.
My eyes adored you. I'm so glad.
I think the direction they took was a good line between country music, which they retain a great, how to describe it, there's a tinge in their music that lends itself to country music. However, they played and sang beautifully, and still do.
Hey Pretty Thing is another song that is just glorious to hear. I love Hey Pretty Thing. It captures a moment in girls' lives that I remember really well. Because obviously every song is attached to a situation, a relationship, something that you can relate to. And I really enjoyed that phase that Hey Pretty Thing was written in. And the song itself is just so joyful and fun to listen to. It's lovely. So that definitely goes in one of the top scores for an awesome track.
My thing with them, I suppose, in the studio was I used to try and pull them in line by slightly taking them some of the times. So I'd find the weakest part of what I think they were doing at that moment and lay into them, but with humour.
Pretty thing, where the hell you been all my life?
You can tell that Marianne's roots are in singer-songwriter, and it's all about the emotion. You know, the fact that she can sing so beautifully is almost like secondary to the emotion that's coming out. Whereas with Laura, there's that slightly more polished performance, which allows her to be able. She has this great facility within the vocal, and the two together sound. You know, you've got everything that you could want, because you've got all of the emotion, but all of the facility, and then. Yeah, and they tend to divide it up very well as well, in terms of, you know, if there's a part of a song that needs that real quality, that real pierce, that real through the top of the note, and that tends to go to Laura. If they've got that part that needs to like make you cry, it tends to go to Marianne. And then, you know, it's a really good, really strong dynamic.
They're my moon sisters. We spent 5 years playing gigs every weekend and travelling the country in a little moonmobile van, held together by prayers and sellotape. It was a wonderful period of my life.
Where the hell you been?
I was very unfortunate to have kidney failure, starting in around 2002, as far as I know, and then I ended up on dialysis in 2010, early 2010, late 2009, something like that, and I was unfortunately very ill on dialysis. I'm unfortunate that I don't dialyse very well. It doesn't suit my body for some reason. And eventually, when it was appropriate for me to be up for the chance of getting a kidney transplant, which obviously there was a shortage of and still is now, I was in deep doo-doo. And because I was very likely to die on dialysis, and then a lot of my friends found out that I was eligible to have a transplant, and many friends stepped forward. Almost all of my friends, some of them weren't the correct blood type. They all were tested for the correct blood type. I ended up with 8 people who were the correct blood type that were tested. Out of the 18 people that were tested, 8 were the correct blood type. Luckily for me, I'm a common blood type, O positive. And then out of the blue, a friend who I didn't really know that well Tracy was one of these people. And as they all started dropping off through various reasons, health reasons, maybe they weren't the right match or it wasn't right for them at that time, who am I to put pressure on anybody? Not a chance. It got down to 3 people that were absolutely willing to go ahead. And then those 3 were tested all the way to the end. And the person that in the end was an exact match, I was so lucky, as if she was my sister, was Tracy Knight, as she's known now. And she donated a kidney to me in 2011, going on 12. So I'm coming up to 9 years next year, could be around about 10 years. I'm very lucky, and the transplant couldn't have gone better. My life is completely and utterly fulfilled, and I want for nothing other than to live.
Favourite song on the album is Moments. I think it's a song for all occasions, all times, no matter where you are, no matter what point of your life you're in. The message is universal. I think the lyrics are spectacularly good. I love the fact that the vocal is shared between Laura and Marianne in terms of taking a verse each. The way that it's produced, it's very bare. It's very bare bones in terms of the production on the track. Which again lends itself, you're not distracted by things that don't really matter. You just concentrating solely on the lyrics. It's just a beautiful, beautiful song.
One of my favourite songs, and talking about the Fall Awake album, and that's The River.
Roll on, river, roll on. Don't you forget me when I'm gone.
I remember you then both coming in and asking me to maybe play some slightly jazz-esque guitar on the beginning, rather than it be acoustic guitar or piano led, which is maybe a lot of the songs were. And I remember, because I had my transplant, but I was still quite weak in my arms and my hands were very weak from dialysis. I struggled to play, especially a jazz guitar, which I have, and I am a jazz musician. I physically struggled to play the guitar and record it, so it was a bit frustrating. But they really pushed me to carry on with it, and actually now when you hear the song in its entirety, I'm rather proud of that guitar part.
It's a lovely tune with a nice blues feel guitar, really good, and the harmonies were really good. Did like that one.
Lyrically, I just feel like it's an incredibly evocative song. It's got these universal, timeless themes to it. I think the metaphor and also the literal within the lyrics is something that everyone can relate to.
I would describe Neil the Moon as, in a way, almost a kind of female Simon and Garfunkel. Not that their music really resembles theirs, but it's similarly eclectic in its approach to a number of genres, not to mention their harmonising ability.
We shot the video to River at an old pub in Leicester called the Dry Dock, which was basically just a ship moored in a car park near home base. I managed to strike a balance, I think, between the two girls. As they're both very different, it's quite important to be the centre, kind of, in between the two of them. I would talk to Laura all the way home from gigs, just babbling on anything for hours and hours at a time, because she was driving. It's only fair that I try and keep her awake. And we never ever run out a single thing to talk about. Even now, we could freestyle chat for 6 hours and not run out of things to talk about.
Yes, she knows my name. How she knows my name.
I think Marianne would sing the melody very well and keep to a melody, but maybe slightly struggle with pronunciation of words. I want to hear the words better. Laura pronounced the words perfectly, but of course she had the opposite, where she wouldn't actually sing perhaps the melody quite as concise as I'd want it, and she'd start maybe riffing a bit too much. So both of them needed a little bit of coaxing through singing, one in one way, one in the other. And these songs were great, so I just wanted the melody to stand out. Finally, I thought sometimes their harmonies were a little bit wayward, and so I would get stuck in and make sure that the harmony was actually a harmony and not, just singing alongside or something a little bit more free form. But I also wanted to keep the feel of the sisters, that slightly free feel as well. So it was a balancing act, which I think worked really well.
I also like the song Mr. Sophisticated.
Mr. Sophisticated, yes, the video for that, where I was cast as Mr. Sophisticated in possibly the worst piece of casting since John Wayne's Genghis Khan.
So Mr. Sophisticated.
After you poured me some wine.
Marianne once told me it was all about me, of which I doubt very much, and I don't think I'm Mr. Sophisticated at all.
Kiss me, Mr. Sophisticated. Kiss me and make it divine.
It was a great idea to get some of my favourite people in. So they wanted piano, bass, drums, quartet, and singing. So quartet, that kind of sound. And so I wrote in the best jazz drummer there is in Leicester. I wrote in the best bass player, double bass player there is in Leicester. And I wrote in an amazing piano player called Chris Conway. And they effectively just played this song. They had to learn this song because they'd never heard it before. And they did a great job. So that was a great moment.
We spent a day running around Laura's flat with the girls pretending to fight over me, which was as ridiculous as it is amusing. And it's such a great song, cheeky lyrics. Marianne's very good at cheeky lyrics. Yes, that's a classic. Chris Conway's piano solo on the recording of it as well is just absolutely fantastic.
Let's go, boys.
The thing was, most of the time when they did argue, 90% of the time I would say it was about the music. It was about the song, something to do with the arrangement or the performance or something to do with that. And when they're arguing about that, that's fine. They can argue about that because, Mia and the Moon, like I said, it's the middle point between the two of them. So there's got to be some kind of argument, some kind of sharpening kind of procedure.
It gives a roundedness to the performance in the way Laura does it. But she's had a lot of training. I mean, she's been doing this since she was very young, getting up on stage and performing in front of people and singing cabaret all over the world in different circumstances. That's no stranger to Laura. Her ability to perform with her voice is pretty well spun.
I think they are different. Yeah, Laura and Marianne definitely different. Laura's more bubbly in one sense, where Marianne is a little bit more reserved. But I think they're both kind of quirky.
I found that Marianne was much more interested in the production, whereas Laura was not so interested in the engineering and the production. But she was also very interesting in how Marianne pronounced words when she was singing, and then when Laura was singing, Marianne was much more interested in what note she was singing and was it in tune and all this. But both of them were very good at singing and bang on tuning, really. Both of them were very good at singing and bang on tuning, really.
Yes, I've been present at a few of their fights, and they were always good. They were always good.
There was always a little bit of argy-bargy. All stems from, extreme passion for the music.
They are in so many ways chalk and cheese, and yet they're sisters and they complement one another.
Laura and Marianne, they're sisters, and obviously care for each other greatly, love each other dearly, both very talented, and of course sometimes there were clashes, but they worked and complemented each other beautifully.
PA was the hidden instrument in a band's performance. There are a lot of things going on, guitar's got to be up or down or in and out, and the keyboard's got to be up or down or in or out. So the sound man's got to hold all that down. It's a very, very skilled job, and I would say it's certainly on a par with the instrumentalists.
Beautiful Burden, that's heartbreaking. That's a heartbreaking song. We've all been there. And Marianne's just got a way of putting the finger on the pulse. Whatever breakup you've been a part of, you can find something in there. There's something of your own story in that song.
Like the fear of being alone.
The two girls are totally different, but when they come together, those differences mesh and they produce some incredible sounds.
Absolutely unique, original, special is the word I would use. Lyrics are pure and their voices are pure too. The harmonies are outstanding.
I'll be your friend until the last
So I think the dynamic between Laura and Marianne has always been extraordinarily strong. I think that's representative of obviously the fact that they are sisters, not just the good times that they've shared together, but the trickier times as members of the same family as well. There's an entire arc, an entire spectrum of emotion that they've been through together that they can use in order to enhance their writing ability, their connection musically.
There have been times when the sisters crossed swords, and usually in very inappropriate places, like weddings, for instance, which I wasn't at and couldn't do anything about and wasn't there. But they would inevitably cause some ruction, and I would probably get a phone call from one or the other on the way home and have to, enable life to go on as normal and explain that being sisters is all part of this process, and you have to work together, girls.
Me and the Moon, yeah. that was a little bit of their worst side, because they would argue about it and they tended to do it on stage, which was a shame, let's put it that way. A lot of people thought that wasn't on, you know. But they were sisters, for crying out loud.
My family and I would consider Marianne and Laura to be two of our closest friends. We've always gotten on perfectly with them, and that's definitely carried across to working with them professionally.
Forget you, please don't forget me. You always said don't look back. Well, I hate to bring it to love, but I've been doing.
The snow's alright. It's alright. I keep saying, you know, only those two could go out playing in the snow and end up throwing stones at each other.
Along with Neil Segrott, I shot the video for Snow.
The first song they recorded was a song called Snow, it was a really catchy single.
It's so sad when friendship dies. I didn't want to lose
Kind of sampled Marianne tapping different parts of an acoustic guitar and made a drum beat out of that, and then they recorded this song. And then I slowly realised that they wanted to record an album, which eventually became the album called Fall Awake.
Don't look back. Well, I hate to break it to you, but I've been doing just that. I remember when we played in the snow.
The first video was filmed, if you like, in my little studio in the upstairs of my house, and I don't know much about videos and I don't know much about filming, but we just decided with a friend that we would just put as many phones in different areas, and so I think somebody had a proper camera, and I have a real piano in my studio, and we tried to record the video with as many different shots at the same time, and then we relied on a good friend of ours to edit it, and it turned out surprisingly well.
Taking time to make time, taking it slow, driving around for hours when we had no place to go. Just you and I played in the
Experience was a lot of fun and felt less like work than hanging out and creating something.
Marianne, she's like my little sister. I love her to bits. She's great. She's all about performance, and you know, she's all about a performance, and she's all about being the best she possibly can be. And yeah, it's just that although they're both very kind of fiery personalities, they're all right. They're all right. I do enjoy our times together. It's most of the time utterly brutal and utterly beautiful all at the same time. They may have voices of angels, but they've got mouths of sailors.
And then possibly one of the nicest songs, possibly for its sparseness, was the last song called Empty Life of a Rich Man.
His family don't see his face.
Empty Life of a Rich Man, again, beautiful song. I never played on that, even when we were playing it live. That's one where I'd sit back and enjoy my drink.
Penny, but who's to blame? He said, oh, until you make some, you don't know what it does. Don't put your faith in false gods, no.
If we didn't have a metronome, what I found I would do is while they were playing a guide track, I would have a little microphone in the control room with a little, either a drumstick or a brush, and I would tap the table in time play along to their natural playing, but make sure they can hear that in their headphones while they're playing. So I am a bit like a metronome, but I'm a metronome that will go with them, a bit like a drummer would go with them. So if they felt they wanted to move forward a little bit, I would go with them. And then when it kind of went down a bit, I'd try and drag them back a little bit, but not too much. That was a good way of getting a natural feel, and it didn't put them off. I do that with quite a few people.
He said, oh, until you make some, you don't know what it does. Don't put your faith in false gods, no, until you make some, you don't know what it does.
I went to the studio to watch some recordings, which was quite amazing. It was great to see Neil doing his job. Good Neil. Well.
Yes, we did find some sound of waves crashing upon a beach and seagulls, and yeah, that was I nicked that idea off an album by Emiliana Torrini called The Sailor, which is about the age-old story of a fisherman goes out fishing and gets lost on a boat, and she recorded the creaking of a boat and the sound of the water lapping, and it really added to that song, and so I did nick that idea, but I didn't nick her sample. We found it. Well, we didn't go to Skeggy and record the actual C, but we did use our own version of C. No click track, nothing, just spill your guts out. Fantastic song. And it just drifted off into this beautiful piece on the piano written by Laura, and we put that to the end of it, and that for me is one of the nicest ends to an album I've ever heard, and it really takes me to a place. It really takes me to a place, that song.
As a musician and graphic designer, I find myself working in a musical field design-wise a lot. Album covers, full album artwork, posters, as well as the occasional music shoot. I'm a freelancer accepting commissions for graphic design, music work, video work. I can be found at jimtetlow.com.
Jim is the easiest guy to work with. Jim is like, if the bomb dropped, he would still be, he'd probably ring his partner, he'd probably brush his hair.
Didn't think funny happened. Marianne's wardrobe malfunction on the Before the Wake shoot,
which was as ridiculous as it is amusing.
Of course, they arrived late.
Windswept and barrens, you half expected to see a werewolf loose on the moors.
Struggled.
What's interesting is that at its roots,
absolute rubbish.
Just kept playing howlers.
We played a lot of these a lot of the time.
And speeding up.
The recording didn't really have...
Not always a definitive.
It felt in one time signature, but it was actually in another.
I think that was probably one of the problems.
I remember Marianne showing me that song and asking what I could do with it, and I just went, I can't do anything.
Don't do that.
Ever fallen out with them?
Sorry, am I boring?
There were some tears.
In a car park near home base.
There was even almost a physical fight.
And the more Danny tried to escape, the more Rowan thought he was playing and went for him.
2,
You can erase a memory of something by going back.
I don't know about that.
It's out there.
It's a unique experience.
Remember when you came in, I said, well, that's what you sound like.
Did it need a lot of work?
Nerves. Stop singing a load of...
How can we find you?
Oh, yeah. Tiny Studios, or just Neil Segrott, or just go onto Google and put Neil, sound engineer. I'm number one.
You've got to appear to be professional.
And you're on top.
I'll tell you, who's a massive fan of you two. My neighbour.
Really?
Huge fan. He's got your album.
Sailing on the farm, we are talking to the captain.